Murphy's Law states that right after landscapers come and make the yard look spotless, high winds will swoop in to destroy all progress.
Should I be worried that my male cat likes to drink my raspberry leaf menstrual tea?
I don't know. Maybe he has sympathy cramps. Maybe he just likes hot water. Or maybe he's just really weird. I guess it could be all three.
Spring 2022 fashion accessory alert. Goats on a leash, Sarah.
Ooh, I like that. Have such a good day. Hello, world. Welcome back to Have Such a Good Day, the show that wants you to do just it.
It reminds me of that episode of Pop Siren, Dude Siren. If you guys have not seen that, I don't even know if you can find it online anymore. It's like it's so dated.
Pop Siren was a show that Heather and I co-hosted for
and created
Revision 3. Yes, created and you know, did the whole thing back in the day, back in the early, well, the mid-aughts.
It was like
right?
It was like the first internet TV station, one of the first, when internet TV became a thing. IPTV, that is.
It was called Pop Siren, which was, you know, sort of pop culture, but then siren, we're women, you know, we were, you know, lots of plays on words. But we did a sketch called Dude Siren, where it was like Heather and I were, you know,
we're dudes.
Just, yeah, and just the show opened as if we were dudes, and there was Mujan, who was working with us at the
God
time.
bless her heart.
Bless her. She's just really funny, and a lot of this was like her making.
Yeah.
And at one point, I remember, like, I still can't stop laughing. Like, when I was like introducing, like, here's our first story. I say, get ready to shit your pants.
Oh my God. I think the outtakes, I think we had like 30 outtakes where we laughed our asses off.
Couldn't get through it. Could not get through it.
That is a classic. We got to find that somewhere.
It was just so, you know, so not what I would say. And it was just funny. Heather's wearing a mustache. It was
so were
mayhem.
you. We were both wearing, we had like hats on backwards, and we were like talking all like dudes and drinking beer.
It's Dude Siren, y'all. Get ready to shit your pants.
With a segment we like to call the boob. It was basically our news segment, but we were taking the piss. Okay, oh my gosh, okay, we're totally digressing, but welcome to Have Such a Good Day.
Yeah,
this is our new show, or at least we're over 100 episodes deep. We're at episode 133.
133.
Wow.
And we are not going to pretend to be
dudes,
an opposite gender on this show. We both identify as female, but we hope you, whatever you identify with, are happy to be with us, because we're happy to have you.
We're really happy to have you, and we are definitely a couple of ladies because we like to yak it up. And so today we are here to yak it up with you guys. How is everybody doing out there?
Yeah, how are you? How is January? Because January is almost over.
The month of the goat.
Is it?
Yeah,
the month of the goat?
I guess it is, because a Capricorn is a goat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Did not
I don't know
that.
like the Chinese calendar thing. I think maybe it's like I don't know. It could be a rat. It could be, I don't know what the actual Chinese thing is, but a Capricorn is an actual goat. So
did not know that. I always thought of a Capricorn as like some sort of sea animal. I don't know why. It just sort of seemed like, you know, a Capricorn living at the bottom of the sea.
Like a merman or something?
No, more like a shrimp. Like a crustacean.
I'm so glad I'm not a Capricorn. I don't want to be a shrimp. I don't want to be a bottom feeder.
And apparently
Sarah.
it isn't. So don't listen to me. I mean, I'm a set of scales. You know, that's me. I'm a Libra. It's like
I'm an Archer. That's kind of badass.
It is. Yeah. You know, people always say, well, first of all, and I think we've talked about it on the show before, I am not a person who subscribes to the zodiac anything.
No, you don't.
I think it's fun, cute, whatever. It's just
Take it
not
with a grain of salt.
Yeah, it just isn't something that I live my life by. But I do get a lot of people who go like, well, what's your sign? I'm like Libra, and they're like, ooh, yeah, so you're like all about balance.
Totally.
You're around
You're
like,
I
aren't
don't
we
know.
all though about like
We're
you're
all
trying to
striving for the
like,
same things.
you know, healthy balance in life. Like I don't feel like I get to own that one.
Well, it's like it's like all of these signs have like very generic characteristics that we can all relate to. So we're
Sure,
like, oh
yeah.
my God, that's so me. But like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
I'm always
like
striving for
Sarah,
balance
as a
too.
Libra, you appreciate art. I'm like, in fact, I do. It feels like a lot of other zodiac signs also do, though. So, guess I just do it in my own way. Well, anyway, we're happy to have you here. This isn't going to be a show about astrology.
Or the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah, not today. Not today.
One
Thank
of these
goodness.
days we might cover that subject though.
We do want you to have such a good day.
We do.
We're here to do the same. We
Yeah.
hope we all kind of come out of each episode, you know, learning a little bit more about each other and feeling a little bit better about life.
Yeah, coming out of our Monday cocoons. I mean, I know I've been in one. Today's Monday, we're recording, and boy, did it take me a while to wake up this morning and get, you know, like get that inspiration, new week, what's on the old agenda, what do I have to accomplish, you know, like am I feeling a spark? You know, I had a hard time finding that spark this morning. Feeling better though. I feel like I'm woken up. I've had 2 or 3 cups of coffee, a couple
I had
of
a
meals.
whole pot of coffee this morning. I was just like to the brain. Felt great.
To the brain membrane.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Well, and I feel like I'm about to sneeze, so if I do at any point, everyone, I'm
Stand back.
fine. It's just sort of the winter blues.
She's wearing a mask.
Yeah, in my garage by myself. I'm like, gotta mask up. But it's been a fairly good week. I had a friend who lives actually overseas now, but was in town visit me last week, and it's pretty rare that I have like company at my house because who's even ever around, and you know, a lot of people are sick or staying away or you know whatever. But that was fun. However, I also started this drug that I'm now taking for cancer recovery. It's called Tamoxifen. I've mentioned it before. I was holding off for a while because I was so worried about the side effects, and I just wanted to get through the holidays and just not be crazy in some sort of big old side effect list, you know, that it has. And, you know, I know I have to take it. It's just the right thing to do. So I started. And there are, if you want to look it up, I mean, you can look at a list of side effects. Some of them are like really scary, but they're uncommon.
Yeah.
You're like, it will cause cancer, where you're like, wow, I'm trying to get rid of it. Cool. Just different kind of cancer that I get now.
Yeah.
That is not common. What is common though is things like weight gain, insomnia, hot flashes, depression, you know. So
Great.
you kind of look at it and you're like, well, God, man, you know, like I'm already, you know, like if I'm having a good week, like this sounds like the worst thing ever. Anyway, had to bite the bullet, had to start it. And I will tell you that as a person who runs hot in general, like I just am
You're a sweater.
like, well, I mean, not so much sweating all the time, but just like I just feel like I will, you know, I heat up.
Yeah.
I heat up easily.
And you can't cool down.
And especially at night. Especially at night, you know, where like people talk about like, oh, night sweats and stuff like that. It's like nobody likes that. It's horrible. You know, you're trying to be comfortable, you're sweating, you're too hot, covers on, covers off, a whole thing. Well, I had a real epiphany about what actual hot flashes are last week. And I will, you know, I don't really like to talk about like cancer journey like too much, just because I don't want to bring anybody down. But at the same time, I'm, you know, hoping that either you relate or this could be something that you could pass along to somebody, you know, who could use the information. But this was like, it was not the same as being like, oh, I'm overly hot, I feel like I have a fever. It was sort of like that, but it was more of like my body just being like, we are going to expel water from your body, you know? And I was kind of like, like almost like where you like kind of have like a rag, where you're like, oh, let me like wipe my forehead again. And then, I'm sort of like, I'm like slightly worried about this. Like I should go buy some Gatorade. Like I need like electrolytes. I'm losing a lot of what, like more than I would if I was running, for like an hour straight kind of thing. It was very strange. And then of course, like I started to get anxious, like, when will it stop? Am I just going to like be like a little raisin and this is where I die?
Is this something you have to take every day or
every day for 5 to 10 years?
Wow. So does that mean you have hot flashes like every day? Maybe?
It doesn't. No,
Okay.
It can be something that becomes tolerable over time. A lot of people say that. A lot of people say that the hot flashes aren't even a big deal to them. So it's possible that just my body was just like, new thing, I'm going to be crazy. But it was somewhat debilitating. I had to take a day off of Daily Technutia, which, is like my daily show on Friday, just because I was like, I am somewhat worried about this, guys. Like, I'm not like, I can't do a show with like water dripping down my face.
Wow. Did you have to like take a bunch of showers?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't take like 4 showers that day, but I mean, there was a lot of like mopping up of,
Wow.
Just, and just feeling like, oh, you don't want to put makeup, like it would just be so gross kind of thing. So
I can't even imagine that. I mean, I get night sweats sometimes, but I don't get them like during the day. So that's an interesting, it must be an interesting experience to just like heat up like that out of the blue.
There was this very small scene. It wasn't even a big deal. Like it wasn't like some huge plot point, but in House of Cards, where Robin Wright's character, I forget her name in the show, but she's having hot flashes and she like opens her fridge and just like stands there and is just like, oh my God, relief. And I've done that like once or twice when, I don't know, I was in like a really hot apartment, maybe it was in LA or something where it was like there wasn't adequate AC and you're just kind of dying. Like that feeling, but that feeling of just being like, it's all coming from within. It's not actually about the temperature at all. It's like the internal temperature just effing sucked. However, that was a few days ago, and I'm staying the course and I am feeling a lot better. So that's good. What I did notice though from the experience, a couple things. First of all, like being in bed at night, like my apartment, as I've mentioned, is not well insulated. I don't think there's actually any insulation at all. And some of the windows don't close totally properly and there's some heat being lost. But if I'm cranking the heat pretty high, I'm doing pretty good. It's nice and cozy in there. And it's been not that cold. It's all relative, I know. It doesn't even snow here or anything, but in the mid 30s at night. So it's gonna get chilly. And I don't want to be overheating in my bed at night, so I turn the thermostat down before I go to bed. And then I kind of go like, let's like put it like slightly colder than what would be comfy. Cause then the bed will do the rest, and it sort of evens itself out, hopefully. And I had washed my sheets, strip the bed, wash the sheets, the whole thing last week. And as I'm and I have linen sheets. They're these like lovely linen sheets that I'm very into. I love linen for sleeping because it's like breathable and comfy and soft and everything. And as I'm putting the fitted sheet back on, I noticed there's a little rip in the middle, right in the middle, where I was like, oh man, that's annoying. I guess it could like maybe be sewed. Like, I don't know how to sew, but maybe my mom could sew it or something. Well, the same night, so this is like a few days ago, the same night, because I wanted a clean bed to go into for the weekend, I somehow got like a foot stuck in that little rip.
Oh no.
And made the rip more like a 6-foot rip.
Oh shoot.
Yeah. Which I didn't even notice because, I'm kind of, I've got this fitted sheet underneath, then you got your top sheet, then you got your comforter, your duvet cover, various blankets and pillows, whatever, I have a whole thing. So I woke up in the morning, as I'm like kind of getting out of bed, I'm like, what am I stuck on? And I realized that my foot had gone through the fitted sheet and then was then resting on like the mattress pad on top of the mattress. And it's like, there's no, like, even at this point, like, you don't sew this. That would be so weird. Like, there'd be like
Sewing a
huge
sheet?
seam down the
Yeah.
front. You
No.
know, like, it wouldn't even feel
Let's
comfortable.
get
It
you a
would be
new
so
set of
annoying.
sheets, Sarah.
Well, so Heather, glad you mentioned that. So these particular linen sheets I've bought a couple times now. Like I had a pair a few years ago and I was like, God, they're so great. And then they just kind of, I don't know, I wore them out. And so I got another pair. And I have like alternative sheets that are, you know, kind of backup, you know, for when, for whatever reason, if these sheets couldn't be washed and I need, you know, a clean bed. But they're a lot sturdier and they're comfy, but I feel like for when you're feeling hot at night, it's like, nah, you need the linen sheets. You know, they breathe better. So I look them up on the internet, and I don't know if this is supply chain. I don't know what it is. These sheets, I'm not even talking about like duvet cover. It's 2 pillowcases, top sheet, bottom sheet, $450.
Whoa.
They used to be like $150, which even then I was like, wow,
Inflation,
you know, I'm kind of, you know, like paying a lot for these sheets. I'm not buying these sheets.
Yeah.
And it sucks because I kind of need them. These are, you know, the fitted sheet has gone back to nature. I mean, sure, I could like make it work for another couple days, but not really. You know, it's weird.
6-foot
You know,
rip.
I've got this big old ripped up sheet in my bed. So yeah, I don't know what to do. I guess I have to like find better linen sheets somewhere else.
Well,
But
I
I
will
was
contribute to
floored.
these expensive linen sheets if you need to get them.
Oh, well, don't worry
Maybe
about
you
that.
can find you know, it's interesting. I wonder if I mean obviously inflation is affecting everything. I mean, I can totally tell with food prices and just a lot of like going to CVS, I'm like, whoa. Like I actually need to use these coupons now because I'm like, I'll go to CVS and get 4 things and it's like $60. But yeah, sheets. I mean, is it really affecting those kinds of products? I'm really curious.
Well, it's certainly affecting this particular brand, and I should do some more research. And you know, this was just, you know, it was just a set of sheets I had found on the internet years ago. I got them. You know, you wash them a couple times, and you're like, linen has that. If you're not a linen person, and not everybody is, linen is actually crinkly, but it's also soft.
Yeah.
And it does breathe really well. And I find it to be like, it's just my favorite thing to like curl up in at night. I love linen
too.
sheets.
And you know, it's funny. I've always wanted linen sheets. I don't have any. I told you guys in a previous show that my boyfriend bought me these velvety flannel sheets, which are so decadent from LL Bean. And I
love LL Bean.
It's like one thing I was just thinking, I'm like, I don't know if I want to go through another winter in Northern California, man. It's tough. The darkness, the cold, the wet. But I'm like, but there are things to look forward to. You can look forward to your flannel sheets. You can look forward to putting a fire in the fireplace and being cozy and wearing a beanie. And so I'm like, okay, just like, you know, just toughen up. All right. And maybe I need to get some linen sheets for the summer. Because these are already getting kind of warm.
I don't know, Heather, because they seem pretty
It's true.
expensive.
Well, I'm going to do a little research.
I am with you. I mean, if there's, please do. Yeah, let me know if you find anything good, because if there's one thing that I mean, I am not flush with cash, but I will spend a little more to have the most comfortable
Like
bed.
good material.
You know, like
Sure.
The only thing, you know, in life that I can control is my bed comfort.
Yeah,
you know,
this
like
is
I
true.
want to get in bed and just be like, yes, I made it. I'm so comfy.
got through the
Love
day.
the pillow. Maybe we watch a show. Maybe we read a book. Maybe we just turn off the lights. But just like that
Maybe
feeling
we do
of
a
like,
Wordle. An end
maybe
of
we
the day
Well,
Wordle.
I do that first thing in the morning.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. Oh God, I would never wait till end of the day. I wouldn't be able to handle it. But yeah. So I was like, oh, I'll just buy some new sheets. Stupid sheets ripped. Who even knows where the rip came from? It was probably like some washing machine incident or.
You
who
know, I have a
knows?
suggestion. Maybe you should, when you're out and about next time, like in the city or whatever, maybe there's some stock at like a store as opposed to like online, like going to like a mom and pop, store who may have, stock and a sale or something. Anyway, I'll keep my eyes peeled for you.
That. We'll see. Thank you. I appreciate that. But it was because like I said before, like the first time I got the sheets, got them delivered, was like, oh, I love these. And then I don't know what happened. Like maybe there was a spill or there was some reason where I was like, I'm just gonna get a new set. Same color, same everything. I like the sheets. So that's the sheets that I've been, sleeping on for a couple of years. So now with the grand rip of 2022, I'm just like, I mean, I wouldn't even expect to pay $450 for a sheet set plus new pillows plus a quilt.
No,
I mean, it's just not happening.
Yeah.
It's not happening. So I don't know. Maybe a trip to Target is in my future. I bet they probably have linen sheets there.
They got everything. Seriously. I'm going there tomorrow.
They do.
I'll let you know. Actually, I'll take a look. I am literally going there in the morning.
Thank you.
I have to stock up on my coconut lime Listerine. And the reason why I love that one, it's a limited edition and it's hard to find, is because it's a very light color. It's like a very, very, it's almost clear. It's like a very light green, and doesn't have alcohol in it. And it helps with my Invisalign because I don't want anything that's going to stain them. And so that's the ticket. If any of y'all are trying Invisalign out there, it's the light colored Listerines. But anyway, Sarah, I have a new theme song for you.
Okay.
Can you guess it? I heat up, I can't cool down. You got me spinning round and round, round and round, round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows.
Yeah, I know the song.
Abracadabra.
Yeah.
Ever since you mentioned how much you heat up.
You didn't let me get there.
I'm sorry.
I was going to get there.
That was one of my favorite karaoke songs. And it's funny, this whole time you've been talking about overheating, this song's been running through my head.
Abracadabra is one of those songs where when I think about, when you think about your like earliest memories of childhood, like maybe you have like a tiny blip when you were like a toddler or whatever. Like I remember like a very small smidge once of like being at like daycare when I was not even 3 years old. But that's kind of it. The rest of it is sort of pictures and, other people telling you how life was. But there are a few songs where I'm like, I remember liking that song when I was little.
When it came out or when it was on the radio
And Abracadabra is one of those songs. Yeah. I want to reach out and grab you. I know the band, but like I didn't know Steve Miller Band when I was 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was just a song that was on the radio.
Yeah.
Like what was it? Oh, there was another one. Oh God, what? Okay. Remember that song? I love a rainy night, such a beautiful sight.
Yeah.
Like another one of those songs where it was just like a top 40 song.
Yeah,
and I was so young and I loved it.
Yeah, totally.
But I don't remember really anything else about being that age. Just listening to the radio in a car somewhere.
It's so interesting that you bring this up because last night, and I'll be quick here, but my boyfriend wanted to watch, he has stacks of movies on disc because he gets them from these companies he works for. And he had this one called Body Parts. And I'm like, that looks fun. It's kind of a horror, like a B horror. And he's like, I want to watch this tonight. I'm like, okay. It looked vaguely familiar. It's from the 90s, like early 90s. And I was just like the entire time I'm watching this movie, like what you were saying, I don't remember specifics, but there's a feeling. I'm like, I know I've seen this. This story is so familiar. It's about this guy who gets like an arm transplant. He gets in this car accident and the arm is taken from like a serial killer, like a murderer. And so he has this tendency to like want to like kill because he's got this.
I feel like I
arm.
know this movie.
Yeah, you probably do.
Somehow.
I think it was on like the USA channel, like 8:00 movie when we were young. And I asked my sister this morning, and she was like, "Oh my God, I totally remember that movie." But like, I don't. It's like there's tinges of it that made me realize I had seen it, but like I didn't remember the scenes or like I just remembered like tiny little pieces of it, and it was a trippy experience watching it again. Really, it brought me back. But Sarah, we have really run the gamut with our subject matter on this show, and we have talked about everything. I mean, even sidewalks. I remember the day when you told me, I think you said how much you miss sidewalks and like street lamps. And I have to tell you, I just can I just gripe just for 1 second. I really truly miss sidewalks, and I'm really tired of Googling things like best outside doormat for dirty ass shoes. because I can't seem to get the right doormat to like wipe my shoes off, you know, because I live in a place that has grass and dirt and mud and, you know, it's just, I live kind of out in nature. And I went out today just to do a quick little jaunt over to one of my cottages. My shoes got so fucked up and I was just like, this is ridiculous. I'm kind of over it. And I don't know. It's like, it's such a silly, stupid gripe, but thank you for letting me vent. Now let's talk about something positive.
Let's do it.
I want to talk about a standout day that I had this week, Sarah. And you and I kind of chatted, I think, in the morning, but it was like that day that was like a weirdly warm, kind of climate change vibey, 70 some degree day. It felt like a very LA day. Everyone went to the beach.
Yeah.
The beach was super crowded
because we had a tsunami warning. But yeah, it was. I remember waking up and in my bed, like before I got out of bed, like it's like, what is that noise? And like there's just like wind whipping trees like into like a couple of my windows and making like scratching noises. Cat Ralphie was just like, what's happening? And when I opened the front door, it was like a gust of somewhat warm wind came in where I was like, oh, this is so weird. Like I don't know what to do with this. It came out of nowhere
too, because it wasn't like for us, like I was wearing a beanie the day before. Like it was in like the mid 30s, like at night the day before. So it was like really out of the blue. Like how could it was literally 72 or something. It was definitely in the 70s. I was tracking the weather all day. I was outside. It felt like I was warm, like shorts weather. And it was lovely. It was wonderful. But it was definitely, it was like, you know, that kind of creepy weather before like an earthquake or whatever. It was just,
always,
it just felt
I always think of that.
Kind of too warm. But we ended up going to the beach and like everybody was out and just like the parking lots were full. And I swear this little town has gotten discovered because everybody seems to come here on days like this because it really is really beautiful here when it's sunny. We ended up just going on sort of a spontaneous hike. It was just lovely. And then we ended up on this beach and it was like people were laying out. There were people like listening to music. I mean, it was just such a weird scene for like January, you know? And after especially having like a pretty cold winter and a pretty wet winter. And we're walking along and taking photographs and there were people that like had their shoes off and they were like kind of running in the waves a little bit. And I'm like, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to go nuts. I'm going to take my shoes off. I'm taking my socks off. I have not worn socks for 6 months now. I feel like my feet have not felt the cold ground in a very, very long time. And so I took my mofo shoes off. I walked barefoot in the sand. It felt amazing. I was seizing the moment. I literally dug my toes in and it was quite a shock to my feet, I will say. But it was this magical day. I had a great time. And then we're at the end of the beach, end of the line, and there's a couple running around with their dogs off leash. And then I look closer and they've got 2 goats on leashes. So their dogs are not on leashes, but their goats are on leashes. And they're the cutest little furry goats you've ever seen. They're not like your typical goats you'd see on the side of the road, like at a farm. They were like little guys. They were fluffy and they were super friendly.
I mean, I think goats are pretty cute in general. So these sound extremely cute.
They were I guess, because like when you see a goat, sometimes I don't think their fur looks very soft. But these guys were, I think, baby, like more on the baby side. And so their fur was very fluffy. And they were so friendly. And it was such a trippy scene seeing goats like on the beach. It was just like, is this like a new thing? Is this like a 2022 thing? Is this like the new, like hot new accessory? Instead of having a dog.
If I had a goat, I'd take it to the beach. Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm starting a new trend.
But
I might have to get a goat and I don't know.
Should get
Sounds
a
like a fun
goat.
accessory.
It could just be just be me, and then, on a fun day, you take your goat to the beach.
Seriously, a lot of people have goats up here. I've met a lot of people who are like, yeah, they have them as pets and they trim the grass. They like to eat the grass and they help with like keeping the lawn, trimmed. But
they also eat everything.
They eat everything. But I've heard that they can be very cuddly. Like they're very they give back. Like they're kind of loving animals. Like I've heard that story many times since I've lived up here. And I'm like, wow, I'd love to know the love of a goat.
Well, Heather, I believe it was our last episode, I told you about bird TikTok.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
goat TikTok is
sure.
alive and well as well.
Okay, send me a link.
Pig TikTok, goat TikTok, skunk TikTok.
See, I'll never get anything
TikTok,
done.
Bird. I know. No, and that's why I will die penniless and alone.
But at least you'll have Wordle and TikTok.
I have Wordle and TikTok, so like, it's fine. It's fine.
It's all good.
It's all good.
Lean into it, Sarah.
I will. I've also, more than I'd like to admit, I go through phases with food delivery. So where I live,
Yeah, you
and
do.
You can relate, Heather, because it's you live in it's somewhat kind of outskirts type of place. Now I don't live in truly, I mean, on a map of like my town, even though I live in unincorporated part of town, I'm surrounded by neighbors. I mean, it's not like I live on some like 100-acre forest by myself, but it's still far enough away from where almost all restaurants are. You have a few around here, but really just a few. If you want anything a little bit more exciting, you fire up Uber Eats. Used to be Postmates, same thing. Well, you still can actually use them separately, but it's the same company. But like DoorDash doesn't come out here. You have options, but you don't have a million options. It's not like it used to be back in the days of LA or San Francisco or many other places that people live. You kind of go like, you get what you get.
Yeah. And
you kind of got to look at the time. Like after 9 p.m., like they'll just all deny your order. So if for any reason at 9:30 you're like, ooh, pizza, that sounds good. It's like, not happening. Not to my address. So the other night I I really do. I enjoy cooking. I like to keep my fridge as stocked as possible. So there's options, blah, blah, blah. But you either kind of run out of food. That's usually the case with me. Or I'm just like, I don't want any of this. I just want comfort, and I want comfort that was prepared by somebody else, and I'll pay for it. So the other night, I'm sitting around and like I have now become like a regular with the sushi restaurant. That's not even that close by, but like every time they come, they're always like, "Hi, Sarah, good to see you again." I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm ordering from here too much." Or like the Mexican place or the pizza place. So I'm looking through all the stuff the other night and I was like, you know what? One of the cuisines that I like the least is Chinese food. Now, Chinese food is, that doesn't even mean anything. Like there's so many different kinds of Chinese food and regional Chinese food and blah, blah, blah. I'm kind of just talking about the type of Chinese food that a lot of Americans equate with takeout. Where you got noodles, maybe there's a certain meat, there's certain sauces, kind of thing. It's just never been my bag. I would prefer something else. But once a year, maybe twice, but at least once a year, I kind of go back to it and go like, let me
try this again.
I don't want to I'm just not trying the right dishes. It's like there's vegetables, there's the meat that I want, there's rice, there's noodles, like all of the food groups are represented here. Let's just figure out like how to like it more. So I found this place, I couldn't even tell you what it was now, but it was a delivery thing. And, I ordered a few dishes and they came and, I was hungry, so I'm kind of like, this is exciting, and I open up like the noodle dish that I had gotten. And there's kind of like, when you order, the restaurant will give you a decent description of like what's in each dish, right? Like if it's like broccoli, like is there also garlic? Is there also, shrimp or, whatever. And so there are these kind of like sort of almost like blocks, not meat, but like almost look like okra or something, where I was like, this is so strange. Okay, let's just get some noodles in there and give it a big bite. Heather, it was pineapple.
Oh No.
It was pineapple. And
Wow.
I do not hate pineapple, but I don't love it either. And I very much don't like it in hot food.
No. I don't
No.
either.
It's just some people
Like you
do.
don't like the ham and pineapple pizza?
Never.
Yeah, I can't do that either.
Nope. I'd rather go hungry. and I know a lot of people do, and more for you. You know, like I'm not like mad at you for it or anything, but like this was so weird though, because it was like it didn't look like pineapple. It wasn't on the menu when I ordered the dish, and I was like, that is not cool.
And it's something that you should probably like mark in the notes. There's pineapple, because that is. It's one thing to put, say, garlic and onion, but
it makes things sweet in a way that you might really love, but I don't.
No, you wouldn't have ordered the dish if you knew pineapple was in there.
No.
I wouldn't have either.
And it also was kind of weird looking pineapple. Like, you know, like if you were opening a pineapple and it's like getting sort of close to, I don't know, the stem, you know, where it kind of becomes almost less fibrous and more like
I know what you're talking about.
Hard. Yeah. That's what it looked like. So I was like, yum, yum, let's take a big old bite. See what this is. Yeah, it's pineapple. So that was a big old fail on my part. But I learned a lot.
So, okay, so you're going to do this again next year, you think? Or are you like, I'm done. I am just done with this.
I did not hate I got some dumplings that were amazing.
Yum. Love dumplings.
Really good. Yeah. I did not like the pineapple dish. And then there was another one where I was like, I don't even know why I ordered this. It's so weird. But all was not lost. Like, I feel like I'm like, okay, you know what? You just got to pay a little bit more attention to this, Sarah. Or, you know, go with cuisines that you know for sure you're going to like better.
You know, this is the ongoing adventures of or delivering food, Sarah, in your life, because you've talked about this a lot, and I always enjoy it. And I remember in LA, you used to tell me that you ordered like bomb sushi the night before, or a burrito, or whatever, 3 pizzas. And I used to just enjoy these stories. And I always sort of imagine, like, when you tell them, it's very visual to me. I imagine like your order coming, and like you're like, ooh, and you're like super excited, and you're in your little like home pants.
Spread everything out.
Yeah, and you're like opening everything up. And I just wish I could be a fly on the wall to watch you just like unbox all that stuff.
I mean, it is one of the, you know, besides
pleasures of life.
$450 linen sheets that I'm not buying. It's like, it is a pleasure of life where you're just like, this is amazing. It's all here.
Yeah.
I always put, even sushi, like I'll put everything on a plate.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to. A lot
It's
of people
better
don't.
that way though.
But it just makes me feel like, okay, you know, I've taken like one more step to make this feel kind of like it's my house.
It makes a difference. It
and
does.
it wasn't, you know, and I really will say, like, I didn't walk away being like, I don't like this Chinese restaurant. I was like, you know what? I ordered weird. I'll take that with me to the next order. Don't know when I'm going to order from them again, but
I thought you were going to say, I'll take this with me to my grave. I was like, what?
No, I'm not taking it to my grave. I'm telling everybody right now. But yeah, it was just, it's funny because I'm pretty vocal about my dislike of pineapple in hot food. Mm-hmm. And pineapple also cuts up the roof of my mouth. Like, it's just not my favorite fruit.
It's very acidic.
Yeah, and it's. I think it tastes great, but moderation.
I want to eat pineapple when I'm on like a tropical island. You know, it's just like kind of a snack, like a fruit snack, but like not in savory food. You know, I definitely have a hard time with sweet in my, like, I don't like fruit in my like dinner. In fact, I was just having a conversation this morning with my boyfriend who's making this like coconut lentil soup, like homemade soup. And I like it when he gets like turkey bacon or sausage or some meat element in there, because it's not a sweet soup, but the coconut milk, it's not sweet, but it has like sweet potatoes in it. And so there's like a very slight sweet, and so you have to balance it out with like the savory. So like I love fruit, I love sweets, but I like them separate. I want to have that for dessert.
No, I'm with you. Or yeah, if it's weird, you know, like you always hear about kids who can't have their food mixed up.
Yeah.
You know, there's like not all kids are like this, but a lot of kids just, they get weirded out about the idea of like a stir fry. It's like, no, I want my broccoli on one side of the plate my meat, my salad. I don't want them to touch. I was never that kid. I don't remember ever caring at all. In fact, I love like, bunch of tastes together, mix them up, then it's fun. You just eat like a fun bowl. But when there's a wrong taste in there, such as pineapple in my case, it's just like, oh, what the heck happened?
Maybe you could drop a suggestion in the suggestion box, because I think they should disclose that they're
for
putting
the Chinese
pineapple.
restaurant. I think they would probably not care, and probably a lot of other people really, really like this dish. I just didn't realize it was the thing.
Yeah.
I did not realize. And
Okay.
I was taken off guard. So, everybody survived. I actually ate the rest of the noodles. I just took the pineapple out.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us, Sarah. It just does.
It does.
So, Sarah, I've mentioned this before in the show, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about it because I've read the book a little further. So I mentioned a few episodes back that my friend Shira wrote a book. And I like had it on back order for a while. Like it was announced, and then it kind of came out, and it didn't get shipped until like December. And so I finally cracked it open. I was like super proud of her, and I've finally been kind of getting somewhere in it, and I find it to be very good and very funny, and I'm like super impressed. It is called Minimalista: Your Step-by-Step Guide to a Better Home, Wardrobe, and Life by Shira Gill, Gill. And this is not an ad, by the way, but you can buy this book on Amazon or at your local bookstore.
It's your
if you want
friend.
to check
Yeah,
it out.
you
It's
just
my friend.
keep talking about your friend's
She's
book.
cool. Yeah.
Now, would you say that, for Marie Kondo fans, this would be the same sort of idea of like declutter your life for more happiness?
Yes, I would say that it'd probably be in the same section at like a bookstore. And I mean, from my knowledge, I mean, Shira might be like, oh no, it's not like that at all. But it's different. It's her own thing. It's her own business. So obviously it's unique. But yes, it's to kind of declutter, simplify, have a better quality existence, that kind of thing. And it's really interesting because I've known her for so long. Like we hung out in San Francisco for a long time, and we spent a lot of time together, and we used to talk about, we were both really into fashion. She would come over and I would try stuff on, and she'd be like, yay or nay. Or I remember the one time she told me, I tried on some like trendy shirt, and she was just like, you're better than that, like kind of thing. And she was just like, she had a knack for it. She was able to say the right thing. Like she's really smart. She's really funny.
Kindly tell you when to move on.
Yeah. And it was you never felt like miffed by it, and it was really effective. She obviously was onto something. So this is like so many years ago, 10 plus years ago. And she started this business by herself, and she started helping people kind of like in person, and it just kind of built up. She's a really hard worker, and she's turned this into like quite a business. I'm really, really impressed. I really think the book is good, and it's cool to read a book by someone so well, because, it's like, it's her voice. Like it's truly her voice and her humor. And it's really fun for me to read because, I haven't talked to her in a while, and, I think about her a lot, just like one of those people I'm like, I should call her, that kind of thing. And yeah, we used to like swap shoes because we were the same size, and there's all these little anecdotes. So yes, so successful business. Now she has a book deal. She made this book. She's really good at cracking the whip on getting her home organized. And I am fond of that. I like the Marie Kondo thing. I like to simplify. I like things to be organized. I've always been that way. But I'm also sort of lazy. And I find, Shira, I don't find her to be a lazy person. I envy her focus and like her dedication to cleaning out a drawer, and making it really organized. Because I will organize it, but not on like that level. But I'd like to get better at it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to read this book. I'm going to take it chapter by chapter, and I'm going to actually. The thing about this book is that there are kind of these exercises. You have to make an effort. It's not like, oh, you just kind of kick back and read the book. There's some action that you're going to have to take. You got to put in the work, I guess. And that can be kind of hard sometimes. So she helps you kind of room by room. So you like organizing your closet, your kitchen, your utility closet, home office, drawers of odds and ends, everything, anything top and bottom in your house. And I was reading the chapter about closets because I've really been wanting to do something about my closet. And I know, Sarah, you recently, or maybe it was 6 months ago, cleaned out your closet. But I went from being a city girl in TV production, having like kind of a fancy job and going to meetings and, you know, meeting with people. And I had this kind of wardrobe for that. And then I moved to the country and I'm like got into gardening. And, you know, I have all these like elements of who I am now. And so I'm reading through this chapter and, you know, I know how to clean out my closet. I know how to fold sweaters. And, you know, it's not that. It's much more about like, okay, who do you want to be? So she kind of asks these questions in this book, goes beyond just plain organizing. Who do you want to be? Like, what image do you want to project to the world? Imagine your ideal life. What are you wearing? How do you want to feel in your clothes? You know, smart, sassy, confident, whatever. And I'm like, normally I would be really good at answering those questions because I've always been pretty good about having a personal style. I've always been into it, but I'm so in between worlds right now that like I kind of stood in my closet and I'm like, it's like I feel stuck. I'm just like, I started to do something, took like some clothes, put it in a pile and started to kind of like, does this bring me joy or whatever? And, you know, followed some of her prompts and trying to figure out like, how do I mesh my fashion identities into like one capsule wardrobe? I'm like sporty spice, amateur gardener, businesswoman, hood rat, like, you know? And so really the moral of the story is that I really made a valiant effort to do this, but I wandered away and started cleaning my bathroom cabinet and I didn't finish the job. And I'm like, I'm terrible and unfocused and so bad at execution. I'm telling you, I'm just like, and I have to hand it to her because she put this book together and it is a great book, but I'm going to keep at it, Shira, sweater by sweater, drawer by drawer. I highly recommend this book though, for anyone trying to organize or upgrade your life on any level. It's called Minimalista by Shira Gill. I think it'll help you. I know it's going to help me and I will keep you guys posted. I got to get through it. I've got to be a little bit more motivated. Sarah, I think you would like it too. I think it's a good one.
I think so. I actually, you know, you mentioned me cleaning out my closet whenever it was, last summer, I guess, or maybe last spring. I mean, I took most of the things that I own and just threw them in a bin at the Salvation Army and didn't want any money back for it. Just whatever. Like it just had to go. I know that I could have made money off of some of the items. That wasn't really the point. It was like, I'm doing this. I just need, like I need to breathe again. This is too much stuff. I don't like stuff.
I know, I don't either.
I'm a stuff hater. And there are plenty of things. I mean, I'm sitting in my studio, which is a garage, surrounded by boxes of stuff that I can't get rid of. And I've gone through lots of them. Mm-hmm. Every time I move, you know, I'm like, okay, what can we get out of this? Let's get out of this box. You know, like what's in this box? Like, what do I not need? There's certain things that I'm just going to keep. I don't have a great reason for it. Clothing though, and like things that are on tops of tables. My mom suffers from this as well. Kind of. Yeah. Just like cute little things. We were like, but I love it. Like, I don't want to get rid of it. I like it. But it's like, do you? Or are you just used to it? My mom is currently she's going to buy a new TV and she doesn't have a TV mounted right now. So it's kind of, that wall will have to be reimagined, and like there's certain things are going to have to come off the wall, and you know, blah blah blah, you know, where she's like, well, what do I do with all that stuff? And I'm like, burn it. Like, Mom, what is this even? What are these things? Sure, like picture frames, you just put them somewhere else, you know, figure out where they go. But there are just other things that I feel like I am very guilty of this, where I accumulate them. And it was a gift, maybe, so I would feel bad about getting rid of it. Of course. Like, what if they come over?
Oh, she talks about that in the book, too.
Yeah. Or things that are sentimental to me, but, like, maybe for the wrong reasons. Mm-hmm. Some things are sentimental, and you keep them. I'm not saying that you should, you know, throw out everything. But there are lots of things that you just, once they're gone, you don't miss them.
No, you really
just don't miss them.
You really don't. I
haven't missed one item of clothing I threw out. I don't even remember what they were.
You probably don't even remember. That's the thing. And it's nice to cycle it back into society. Let someone love it more than you and enjoy it. Like, I love that. Totally.
Yeah. And I even, and this is, again, it is personal preference and time commitment. Everyone's different. I am not a person who wants to be like shipping things to the next person. Like, oh, are you going to buy this dress? And like, I can make $100 off of it. That requires me now to go to the post office. I'm like, nope, just going to take it to the Salvation Army and somebody will find it. And hopefully they'll, steam clean it and love it so much, and it's a great find. Like, I don't always feel like you want to like make money back from things.
No, definitely not. And it's too much work. I mean, I keep telling myself, oh, you should Poshmark that, just to kind of get it back out there to someone who might really enjoy it. But it's too much work. It's like, yeah, you got to go to the post office. It's, I don't know.
Or at FedEx or whatever. And, it very much depends on where you live. I have a really good friend who I used to do a podcast with about secondhand clothing. And she's like, Sarah, I mean, it's the easiest thing in the world. However, she lived in a apartment building, like with a doorman and the mailroom. And like, she could take things downstairs and be like, send this for me.
Oh, that's amazing.
And like pick things up, that's a very different experience than whatever I would be doing, where I'm like, half my Amazon packages are like in the street, like half open anyway. Like, just,
well, at least you're receiving your Amazon packages, because a lot of people aren't. But that's a story for another day.
I briefly looked at your friend Shira's book. I feel like I'm gonna buy it. It looks really lovely. And well done. And even if you only take a few things away from something like this, it doesn't mean you have to like shake up your entire life, but just
you could take it chapter by chapter. Exactly. And I love how she's very direct but like she's got some humor in there. So it's like, it's fun to read. And she gives you so many good pointers that you're like, oh, wow. It's beyond the, picking up something and seeing if it makes you feel joy. It's like, really honing your life like in on a level that I really admire. I'd really admire it. I'm looking forward to really going cover to cover and just like doing all these exercises, because I think it's
cool.
Great. Yeah.
Especially as I know we're not in spring yet. We're a little bit away from spring, but I'm looking forward to spring. I'm like, man, January's so almost over. By the end of February, at least around here, blossoms start coming out. Things start coming back to life. And by the end of March, it's spring.
Oh, yeah. And, we already have daffodils popping up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And the tulips are like coming out too. Like you can see their little, it's really cool.
Those are the times of year where I'm like, okay, let's overhaul.
Yeah, totally.
Where I'm like, I'm ready to like get my hands dirty and just get rid of some things.
Me too. I'm really excited. I mean, I started to do it this weekend because it was so warm and it made me think of spring cleaning. But I think I need a little more time to like dig into the book and be a little bit more motivated. But anyway, Sarah.
Well, very cool. Minimalista.
Yes.
Look it up if this seems like something that you would enjoy. So we got a little housekeeping to do. Housekeeping meaning that we're just going to love on all of
you
not like
for a couple of minutes. Or anything on the show.
I mean, as we clean the floor.
Yeah, stand by as we clean the floor.
And move all our tchotchkes out of the house. We'd also like to thank our patrons. Patreon.com/have such a good day is where you can find out more about how to directly support this show. We are directly supported by our patrons, by our community. We do have a free version of the show that is ad supported, so you may be listening to that and say, yeah, I hear ads, no big deal. Listen, we're really glad to have you, but the more folks that can support us directly, the more that you don't have to deal with advertising, and some folks think that is a good thing, so we do have options there. We also wanted to extend a very, very big thanks to Stephen Wirtz, who just became a new patron of ours and a very generous one. So thank you, Stephen.
So good to have you. I'm not sure we have a Stephen, or we may have had a Stephen in the past, but welcome to the show.
Yeah, but Stephen, we hope that as a patron, you would join our Discord. Don't have to, not mandatory, not compulsory. but you certainly can. Anybody who contributes at the $5 per month and up Patreon level has access to our Discord. We're having a good time in there talking about Wordle, because that's the kind of people that we are. Oh my gosh, Wordle.
Wordle.
But I know it's so great. So
it is so great.
Yeah, it really is. There's nothing. I can't tell you, Heather. I didn't want to actually make Wordle a huge part of the show, because everyone, I know a lot of people are just tired of hearing about it.
Yeah.
But it is something that, every morning around 8 a.m. or so, by the time we both have done it, my mom and I send each other our Wordles, And it's like when you do the little share thing, it'll show like kind of where you were, but not what actual words you were choosing.
Yeah.
But it'll give somebody a little bit of a grid, like, oh, Sarah was like pretty close off the bat, or, oh, it took her a while, to get to, at the end. And so sometimes she'll be like, well, show me your words. So then we do like screenshotting, where it's like, oh, interesting. Why do you choose that word?
Yeah, I know. I know. It's really, really, really fun. I didn't get it at first, because I was like, well, this isn't an app. This is like on the New York Times. Like, I didn't understand. I didn't get it at first. And then when it finally like sunk in, I was like,
it's pretty easy.
It's super easy. But I
had the same feeling as you, where I was like, what's the catch?
Yeah.
And people were like, Sarah, just like read the
It's amazing how those things catch on. It really is amazing, because it is everywhere. Everyone I talk to is doing it. But
it's also just for me anyway, it's like in the morning, I kind of like I wake up to the point where I'm coherent. Maybe I'm having my first cup of coffee, whatever, and I'm like, okay, it's Wordle time. And sometimes I'm like, in 5 minutes, I'm like, all right, and we're done. Like I haven't actually struck out in a while, but today, for anybody who's keeping track, it was kind of a toughie. And I was, it took me 6 out of 6, and I almost didn't get it.
And
like I had to
the same. See, it took me 4 out of 6. I did really good this morning.
You did. It really depends on where you start.
It is. Oh, totally.
My first word, I was like, okay, 0 letters.
Well, you know what's cool too is I chose to do something with like a double letter, like a double L or a double whatever. And what that does is it gives you that chance of it being in 2 different places, like that letter that is a common letter, and then that actually helped me out.
Oh yeah. That's for anybody who I know, it's sort of like, Heather, I know you're a wordsmith. You love Scrabble, you like words with friends. Wordle is like right up your alley. I'm right there with you. I know it's not for everybody, so we won't go on and on about it, but it has been kind of fun.
Super fun.
What is also fun is hearing correspondence from you all. Every time you send us an email at hi@havesuchagoodday.com, Heather and I get a little bit of a happy spark in our hearts.
Happy bark.
Heather, happy spark. Or a bark.
Happy spark, yeah.
Would you like to read our email of the week?
Sure, yeah. Chris wrote in, and he said, based on the podcast so far, no shortage of new adventures for you two as we head into 2022. I wish you both a serene, joyful, and fun 2022. That is so
thanks,
kind. Thank you so much. You had asked a while back how people use Twitter. While I started out using it primarily for news, when I look at my current feed, it's mostly a way to keep up with info on various interests of mine. For example, I've morphed into a bit of a board game nerd during the pandemic, and I wanted to bring 2 games to your attention based on their subject matter. One of them is Wingspan. I believe this is because both Sarah and I talk about birds. This is a game all about North American birds. In addition to great gameplay, the illustrations are amazing, and each bird card has information about the birds. I have to admit,
this is so cool.
I did look that up on Amazon, Chris. I did. I'm definitely very interested in that one. I gotta talk to my partner though and see if he's interested in playing. I don't think he's as much of a game person as I am. And then he also mentioned Final Girl. This is interesting to me. I'm intrigued. This is a solo play game all about campy horror movies, totally up my alley. There is a base game, and then you purchase different feature films, which have different maps and killers and storylines, etc. And then he says, told you I was a board game nerd. Anyway, thanks as always for the lighthearted, funny podcast and sharing your hijinks. Had to add that word to my email dictionary with everybody.
Hijinks.
Yeah.
That's a great word.
It is a great word.
Chris, we're assuming you're a male. You could be a female, but yes,
That's true.
We absolutely love love suggestions like this. I would never think to own a board game about birds called Wingspan, about the birds of North America, but this is 100% something that I would enjoy doing.
Cool.
Totally. That's great. That's just great.
Yeah, maybe Sarah, next time I head down there, maybe I'll get us a copy of the game and we'll play together and we'll talk about old times.
For sure. And maybe there's an online way to play. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into it enough, to know much about it. But so Chris's suggestions were Wingspan and Final Girl, both games, one about birds, one about murders.
Horror movies.
And I feel like that really encompasses a lot of things that Heather and I care about.
It does indeed. It does indeed. You've
so
been
hopefully-
listening, obviously, Chris.
You have. Chris, we
Thank
see
you so much.
And we hear you. And we feel seen as well. But listen, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. We had kind of a long show last week.
We did,
as I recall. So we're gonna try to keep it under one. Well, no,
Well,
I was gonna say we're
kind
gonna
of a
keep it
long
under
show
an
this
hour,
week,
but we're just over an hour. Just because
We like to back it up. What can we say?
if you've heard anything that resonated, do send us an email, hi@havesuchagoodday.com. Really appreciate that. If you are on the fence about becoming a patron, reminder, patreon.com/havesuchagoodday is where to find out more about how to become part of the direct community. Love to have you. For everybody else who is listening, thanks so much for being along for the ride. And Heather, I don't know if you have any parting words, but I think I will just remain Sarah until next week.
Nah, just remaining Heather. I got to focus on that for now. But we love you guys and gals, and we'll see you
We
next
will
week.
not shapeshift before next week. We'll stay.
Although my smile is getting better by the day, let me tell you that.
Oh, girl, yeah. You're on your 4th Invisalign tray.
Yep.
So
I feel them moving. So
things are moving and grooving in Heather's mouth. That sounds weird, but it isn't. It's just orthodontics.
this is true. All right, Sarah.
All right, everybody. Until next time, have such a good day.